How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all doing amazing. You guys are having a great start to the week. Doing it in a little different place as we are up north doing our webinar, so we can actually still keep this going, but came up, spent time with the family. It was my birthday this past weekend, and we ended up going and doing a little Polar Express. So we're in a little different background. So having some fun with everything, but I just want you guys to know I'm so excited to have you all here today. The whole goal is going to go over new to medical device sales, us teaching you guys how to break into medical device sales, how to come in well over six figures, how to come in and be a standout candidate, because the biggest thing that we see with what we do is people wanting to get into this industry, but they don't know where to start, what companies to go to. And so today we're going to be going over all of that. But before we get too far into this, I always love seeing where you all are from. So if you guys are able to put where you're calling in from or watching from, it's always fun. See Cade. What's up, my man? So Cade is actually somebody who came into our program and got hired as a full line rep. So love to see that it's going well. But shout out to Cade. He's an amazing person. But also where you guys are at. Would love to see where you guys are from. So always put in the chat where you're from. We get a lot of people from, it seems like New York, California, all of those backgrounds. It comes in, but we've been lately getting a lot of people from Canada, which is fun. But as we wait for those to come in, just understand today, the whole goal is to go over, give you some education. And then from there, also open it up to question and answers, right? We want to be able to help you. We got Chris from Fort Lauderdale, beautiful area. Fun fact about Fort Lauderdale, that was actually the first trip I ever took outside of the Midwest when I was in college, and we spent the holiday season there. And I was like, oh, you don't have to be in -12 to have Christmas. So I absolutely love Fort Lauderdale. But going back to, we're here to just continue to provide value, guys, provide value to all of you. Again, just be able to show you what we see on the day-to-day, how we're able to help you all, and want to continue to get you where you all want to go. So just understand, today is really going to be focused on giving some education to start out with. And then from there, we'll go into actually helping you guys go through that background of answering questions. What do you have? What are you hoping to get? What do you want to bring in here? And so that's always my big goal here. But as we go through this, feel free to put questions in the chat so we can answer those questions and that they're ready. So I'll remind you guys a couple times as we go through that process to be able to put that. But as we get started, one thing I always want to just start off with is, who am I? Why should you guys listen to me? All of that good stuff is just understand, originally from small town Iowa, moved out to Arizona wanting to break into medical device sales. And when I was out in Arizona, I actually started with personal training. I thought that's what I wanted to do. Trained a lot of people, started learning about med device sales. I was like, what's this? Had somebody being like, hey, at that time I was working a lot of hours and probably making $45,000, $50,000. And they're like, hey, at 27, I was making over 200. And the one thing I'll just say is, whenever I talk about money, it's never to make people feel weird. For some reason, when we talk about money in med device sales, there's a lot of reps that get very offended by it. But I'll just tell you two things. Number one, it's usually the reps who have taken a long time to get there, or they don't make that. That's why they get offended. And then number two, also with that aspect of everything is, then they'll also be like, hey, why are you sharing that? And it's what I've learned is because they might have teammates or whatever, and they don't pay that. So that's why I just share that. But I just had somebody who was very well off, and they were like, hey, I was making 200 at 26, 27. You could do this. It spiked my interest. I was like, so I can help people learn more. So I went down the rabbit hole of what is medical device sales. Then that's what brought me here today, of documenting the whole journey. My first podcast was, hey, I'm a personal trainer. I want to break into medical device sales. So let's go do this. I did that. And from there, was able to get 4 job offers, Stryker, J&J, Zimmer, and then took a full line rep role. So I skipped the associate sales rep role with Medtronic. So I started as a full line sales rep. So again, I skipped the entry level, which that was something that got brought up this week is, yes, you can skip entry level if you know what to do. Started in med device sales. My first year, I took the lowest performing to top 10, then ran the Western United States with Innovis Medical from the UK. I grew that territory, closed one of the largest deals. And then during that process, documented everything. We've helped over 2,000 people break into medical device sales. And now every single day I get to come and help people that want to get into medical device sales. Literally just before this, we also have a podcast that helps you all. We've had a lot of thought leaders, and literally right before this, I'm on a call with one of the largest medical device companies, and we talked about having the conversation of having one of their top execs on the podcast. And so that is going to happen. So it's a lot of fun for us. But the reason I just share that is we just do this every day. My whole goal is just to put as much value out there. But that's my background. Again, we've been able to help a lot of people. That's why I just do this, is we want to be able to help you all and just also show you. Cade's a perfect example. You can break in with no previous experience at 6 figures. He's a great person and a great human being and a great example and somebody who took a program. So it was a lot of fun. But as we get started, the biggest thing that I see is, where do you start to break into medical device sales? And that's the question I get asked. Where do I even start? Where do I go to? Well, you just have to understand the landscape first, right? What I've noticed with people when they want to come into medical device sales is they don't understand that it's extremely competitive, right? That we always say 5 to 7 interviews, 6 to 12 weeks long, you're going to go up against 500 plus people, right? And then what they also don't understand is every interview process is different. And what they also don't understand is usually all the different divisions inside of medical device sales, right? So they'll hear like a Stryker, a Medtronic, a Johnson & Johnson, right? Those are great and they're amazing companies, but many of them don't know that they have a lot of divisions inside of those companies. And just to give you an idea, what actually happens is, like some of those companies are doing so much in rev that they could break off and do their own companies and be extremely well off. And so just understand each division inside of one of those big umbrella medical device companies are like their own companies, right? And so you just have to understand that medical device sales is not only a place that you get to come in, and by just being in medical device sales with the average income earning, the average rep makes about $170,000. So again, you'll be in the top 10% of earners in the United States, but also you're selling a device that truly will make a difference in a person's life. You will be working with professionals such as like surgeons, doctors, all of these individuals who are extremely smart, and you get to be a part of their team. And then also what we hear the most and why people come to us is because they want to feel fulfilled. You're selling a device that truly makes a difference. You can help people. You can be with a lot of high performers, whether it's other people in sales as well as surgeons, professionals. And then from there, they also get to have the opportunity to change their own lives. So that's what you have to understand about medical device sales. But then you also need to understand, where do you want to go inside of medical device sales, right? Most people we talk to, they think medical device sales is just orthopedics, which is, again, getting a knee, a shoulder, whatever it is, a hip, which is great. And that's a big market, but there's also so much more. For example, robotics, minimally invasive, ear, nose, throat, right? Like I was in the GYN division. We were in medical education. Like there's just so much inside of it that a lot of people don't understand. So that's what I would want you all to think about as you go through this process, is you have to kind of start understanding where to go, where you want to get started, and how this industry even works. Because the one thing I will tell you is the most common thing I hear is, I applied to this job, or in my past experience where I'm not in med device sales, I applied and got 1 or 2 interviews and then I had a job. Especially we hear this, just so you know, with nurses all the time is, hey, a lot of times I didn't even really have to interview. As long as I had my certifications, I have a pulse and I can keep a conversation, I'm probably going to get a job. Again, no shade to nurses. I just literally talk to hundreds of nurses all the time. And that's the common thing we always hear. And so when it comes into the interview process, what they don't understand is 5 to 7 interviews. And I can just tell you, is we get on calls with people all the time who haven't done their education and they haven't done any learning. And then we tell them that and they're like, well, I'm not going to do that. Why would I ever do something to get a job for 5 to 7 interviews to go get a job? And so you just have to understand is most people just don't know this world. So hopefully that can be a little bit of education on where it goes. But now let's talk into the next step of why applying isn't enough. So the common thing that we hear is, hey, I'm just going to apply to a job. I'm just going to go see if I put my application in with the hundreds of other people, if I can get an opportunity. The fully transparent truth is most of the time that won't work. And here's why. Number one, medical device sales and their requirements are usually pretty high. They would like a certain amount of sales experience. They might want some clinical experience. They might even want med device sales experience, right? So they're going to put those in requirements that they would like, right? Because they get so many applicants. Then on top of it, we now live in a world with AI, which is great, but many of these companies will be using AI to then put in what they want to be factored in. And that's why some people can go apply, and within a couple minutes, you get a rejection letter. It's not because somebody actually looked at it. It's because they just put it through the system. The system looked at it. It didn't have numbers, percentages. It didn't have the experience that they were looking for, keywords that they wanted, and it can throw it out extremely quickly. Or what can also happen is you get thrown in, it holds your resume, and then it's not until they close the position. So it could be 2 months, 3 months from now, they close the position, and then they actually send out a mass email that will go and say, hey, sorry, thanks for applying, but you didn't get the job, or we've gone with another candidate. And just a fun little story on that. We've literally helped somebody who did that exact thing, but they were the person who actually got the job, but they still received that automated message because just anybody whose email was in there got told that. So just so you guys know, that happens. And then lastly, the biggest piece of this is, again, when you're going for positions that are very competitive and you want to be in this industry, you have to have people that can like talk about you. We call it a champion, right? Do the job to get the job. You need a champion. You need a person who's going to be like, hey, Chris or Kate or whoever that person is, that they're our person. And so you need those human beings. And so why applying usually isn't enough is because also, let's say you get through the hundreds of other resumes and they look at your resume. Then from there, what happens is then they're like, I don't know this person. Let's schedule an interview. Then you're basically starting cold. It's a first date. It's a blind date. And now you're trying to have to prove yourself. But just understand, many of these positions that are posted, usually I've already started in the process. That's why many of you might have been told, oh, they already have internal candidates, right? So that's what people truly don't understand. I learned this in strength and conditioning, my prior life before I got into personal training and all of that. Is what I learned is, for example, any coaches that you guys like or any universities, right? Let's just say ASU, because I'm from the Phoenix area. So normally, especially when it comes to football, they're all different, but especially like football, the football coaches have their own strength and performance teams, right? And so normally what will happen is if the ASU coach gets fired, their team is their strength and conditioning coach is also probably getting fired with them, right? And so then that's where you see the coaches that all just stay with each other and they start small, and then the next thing you know, they're at University of Oregon or Tempe at ASU, right? And that's what happens. And then if they move, they bring their people with them. That's many times what happens. Or there's a network that happens where I learned this when I did my internship at Santa Clara, where I knew a guy who actually got a position at Oregon. They literally already knew that they were going to give it to him. He just had to go put his resume in because of the laws of they have to actually have them apply. They have to do the interviews, but they already knew they were going to give it to them. I share that to you all because it happened to me at Medtronic. I had done all the networking. We did all the conversations. I did all the interviewing, and I literally got a call before the job was ever live and got told, hey, you're my top person. You're who I'm going with, right? But then what happened is then so many people applied, we still had to go through the full interview process, right? And so even though hundreds of people applied, I was already the top candidate. I had already done a lot of the work. And so I ended up still getting the job. And that was with no experience. I was coming straight from personal training. You just have to understand, many of the jobs that get posted are already filled. And the reason that they'll keep them going is they have to interview a certain amount of human beings. So that's what I would just share. Now, one thing I'll just tell you guys is just put your comments and questions that you have that you're going to want me to answer here in a little bit in the comments. So then I can just go through them and I can answer questions for everybody. But going into, we did the applying. So just again, if you apply and let's say you even get through, it's usually not going to give you much a competitive advantage. So that's where networking comes in. And we want to make sure that you can network properly throughout this process. And so what I'll just tell you, I had this conversation as I just met with a good friend. He's a district manager at a top med device company. He's been in the industry for 10 years. We have a great conversation. But what we talk about is most people are two things: lazy and entitled. And what I mean by that is they will reach out to, let's say him, and he's a district manager. They will do no research. They'll do no looking up of the company, don't know what devices or anything they sell. Then they just reach out, say, I would like a job. What jobs do you have open? Or, hey, do you know of any jobs? And can you help me get them? And what I have to say to this is you're coming to people inside the industry who had to work, go through the 5 to 7 interviews, beat out hundreds of other people. And then what happens is you all reach out to them and say, what job can you hand me? Is what you're basically saying. Do you know of anything? Can you help me? Right? But what I'm just saying that is, but you haven't shown any reason why they should help you besides many people getting on a phone call just because they sent a LinkedIn message and you get on a phone call. Many of you think you should just move on. Or the most common thing I hear is I will ask them, how'd your call go? And they're said, it went great. And I'm like, awesome. Was that great for you or for the other person? The reason I share that is because normally the people I'm getting on calls with, it all goes great for them. But what they don't understand is the person on the other line who's actually in the industry and in medical device sales could care less about the conversation because that person they were on with just bragged about themselves the whole time, told them how great they were and how they're going to be really good in this industry, even though they've never been in the industry. And then they're also like, can you just give me free information, or can you just connect me with a recruiter, or can you connect me with somebody? So that's number one. Number two, with how do you network properly, it's being able to have a conversation and be able to provide value. The number one thing people always ask us is how are we consistently getting people, again, such as Cade, who's young, hired at 6 figures with no experience before, because it's talking about being a peer on those conversations, a peer-to-peer, right? And what I mean by that, why we're able to be like, hey, we're not going to get you hired at 65K, because the positions that are offered at 65K, most human beings can't live at $55,000, $60,000, even after college, like you have roommates. But number two is those are the same people going to resumes or going to interviews with resumes they barely touched. And then they're just like, what's your 5-year plan? And they're like, and they don't do any preparation. They're just there to answer questions. And basically with the most love is, you have a heartbeat, we'll hire you because this could be a high turn and churn. And then we're going to try to train you and get you where you're at. Compared to what we do is we teach our members and teach our people how to actually show up, be prepared, know about the company, know about the territory, know about the products, know about the competitors, know about information about that company. Then when they're on a conversation with them, they're asking them really well-educated questions. And right before this as well, I just got on a call with one of our members, Zach, shout out to him out of Texas. And he literally just got on a call with somebody who's been in for 3 years. And that person for 3 years said, hey, can I have somebody who I'm friends with get on a call with you? Because that person asked him, why should I even refer you and take time out of my day to help you? He really liked Zach's answer. And then he was asking somebody that they personally know to see if he could get on a call with Zach so Zach could help him. Why I share that is because most people just want to be like, hey, what's it about me? But if you can come on there, show that you're an absolute stud, that you have done your research, you didn't just get on a call and blindly say, hey, can you just help me? And you actually did a little bit of research, you're going to stand out more than 99.9% of people. Because again, most human beings, we get the messages every single day. We have a podcast that literally says, don't say, I want to pick your brain. And I get multiple messages a day saying, I'd love to pick your brain, right? And it's not that I have a thing against pick your brain. It's understand you're coming into an industry that is very professional. You're coming to talk with surgeons who have 12, 14 plus years of schooling. You can't say pick your brain. They will not like that. And so you have to show, again, how to do the job to get the job. And that's what we're walking through the whole process. So understand with the networking. Now, let's go into utilizing LinkedIn, because this is where you're going to do a lot of your networking. Right now, when we're on LinkedIn, a couple things that I can just give you tips on is have a very professional photo of yourself, profile photo. One thing I would just tell you is most people have like far away photos, or they'll have photos at a wedding, which is fine. Or they'll just take a photo. Like I just saw a photo of somebody that's in the industry for 2 years, but like their photo is them in a car with a selfie. It's not a great look, especially for a professional setting. What I would tell you is what you want to do is you want to have a professional headshot. And if you don't have a professional headshot, you don't want to go pay, just transparently, many of the phones now today, especially the iPhones, the cameras are amazing. Go find a well-lit area and then go dress up into a nice suit and take a nice professional photo, right? Because LinkedIn is your online resume. Number two, have an about section filled out so they know who you are and a little bit about yourself. And then have all of the information about where you've worked, your past experiences, have that filled out. Because again, when we're in this world, that's the first thing that people on LinkedIn are going to do. They're going to, if you reach out to them, they're going to go check you out on LinkedIn and go see what you have. So that's what I would encourage you all to do. And then when we're sending out a message to somebody, you have to understand you don't want to write a long message to a bunch of salespeople. Salespeople like to skim. We're all the same. And so what you have to do is, again, if you write, what most people I see do is write a whole paragraph about their life, multiple paragraphs. Hey, here's my life story. Here's why I'm interested in med device sales. Here's why I want to get on a call with you, and all of the aspects. 2 reasons of why we don't want to do this. Number one, if I check my phone and I had a message and I have to scroll, most of the time they're not going to scroll through that. That's number one. Number two, but if they do, then the common mistake I see is then you go and tell your whole life story on there, and then they'll call you. And then how you start the call is you just repeat everything you just said. And then if they actually did read your message, they're like, yeah, I already know that. You already sent that to me. So why I'm sharing that, it's kind of like when you're online dating. You don't want to send the first message and just share your whole life, right? It's like you want to like do an opening line, see if they want to go get coffee, or AKA get on a call, right? Do the job to get the job. All right. So can you send a cold call? Then can you schedule a meeting, right? So you get on there. So keep it short, straight to the point, say you want to learn from them. Number two, add your phone number, for the goodness gracious, because I watch people all the time who won't add a phone number, ask to get on somebody's call. And then what happens with sales reps and managers, many times they have what's called windshield time, AKA going from one account to the next account or one hospital to the next hospital. They have time to give you guys calls while they're driving, going through the process. Maybe they have a down day. They can just give you a call. But what happens is many of you will ask to get on a call. They say, sure, send me your number or whatever it is. Then you'll send them your number. So now they have to wait on you. And then you'll get on a call. And after they wait on you, then you have to wait to get their call. And so what I'm just saying this is, again, do the job to get the job. It's something that we always are preaching inside of our program is you have to make their life as easy as possible. And I will tell you from personal experience, when I was a rep and I was driving all the time, there was many times I would put, 3,000 to 5,000 miles a week on my car, or sorry, not a week, 3,000 to 5,000 miles a month on my car, because you're just driving all over. I also covered New Mexico, so many times I would drive out there if I needed to. And so I would have a lot of windshield time that I could just call somebody. If you put your number, it makes everyone's life so much easier on being able to just give you a quick call. The one other thing that I do just want to put out there is if you do put your number, just expect to get random calls. And then what people will do is they'll be like, well, Jacob, I didn't know they were going to call me. What do I do? We live in a day of age where ChatGPT can help you really quick. You can put your phone on speaker. They can tell you who you are. You can look at LinkedIn, who they are, and literally copy, paste, put some stuff about where they're at. And ChatGPT can generate some questions if you need it to. So there's ways to think outside of the box. So that's what I will just tell you. And then from there, we want to actually just talk about how you're going to be able to stand out. The one thing I'll just say, you got comments. This is going to be my last thing I kind of go over, and then we're going to go into questions for you all in the Q&A section. So just put your comments that you have or questions that you want me to have answered. The one thing I will just say is, Kayla, welcome from West Virginia. I saw you put a message in earlier. So just put your guys' chats that you want me to go over, and we will be getting ready to go over those here for the next really 30 minutes. But after we go into the networking piece, right now, it's how do you stand out to get a 6-figure job in medical device sales? So this is the most common thing. One thing I want to address just right now is people will ask me, hey, Jacob, does this happen? Is it entry level? Is it not entry level? What is it, right? And the answer to that is both. There's companies, right? What I've seen is like, especially like, let's just say the robotics space has a lot of money, high margins. They can start people in the 6 figures as entry levels, as associates, right? But then you can also have where we have people, like I said, Kate came in as a full-line rep. So we skipped the associate, he skipped the true entry level, and now his first position is in the industry. So it just goes into those aspects of it. So I just want to put that out there because sometimes there's confusions, but you can get into medical device sales. It's just what division, what company. And that's what I'll just tell you is a lot of people don't like that answer is, well, just tell me this. And it's like, it depends, right? It depends on your background. It depends where you're going. Now it's like, hey, well, what position? Well, for example, if you go to a medical device company A and you go to medical device company B, they could have 2 different structures on how they do everything. One could be a W-2, one could be a 1099. It could be in the exact same industry and division, but they run it differently. So there's no one size fits all. That's why we don't do cookie cutter with our program and what we do and what we teach. There's no cookie cutter because that's why many programs or other places and people think is like, and that's why they struggle is they think it's just cookie cutter. Oh, I just answered this question and that's it. You have to understand there's no cookie cutter even in the interview process because You have different managers with different experiences. And let's say you come from a clinical background. What if that manager already hired somebody with a clinical background and it didn't work out? Now they're already tainted on, hey, your background and all the stuff, and you're going to have to overcome that. So there's just no one size fits all. So I just want to put that out there. But going into how to stand out and land a six-figure job in medical device sales, it goes back to what I said earlier, peer-to-peer. You have to be looked at as somebody where they're like, if we gave this person a quota, they could go hit this quota. And the other thing I will just sit here and tell you is what companies and what people don't understand is like how we've gotten like 24-year-old hired at 160K and goes in is just understand those companies believe that they're getting an absolute steal on that person, right? That they're like, oh, we're going to pay them this amount of money, that they're definitely going to hit it. And we're definitely going to get a return on an investment, right? And that's how we're able to get people with no experience hired because again, do the job to get the job. What people love to do is talk about what they did. And I share this on a podcast. I share it with our team. It is the equivalent of Uncle Rico, right? If you guys have ever seen Napoleon Dynamite talking to you about high school, throwing the football over the mountains, that is what the equivalent is compared to what are you doing? What are you doing through that process? What are you being able to show throughout this whole time that you will, without a doubt, come into this division, come into this company and crush it? So again, how to stand out and land a six-figure job is you have to be able to speak peer-to-peer. Now let's talk about what that actually looks like if we dive a little deeper into it. It's not coming in and saying, hey, what do you do? Hey, what's your day-to-day look like? Hey, you talking to 10 reps and then you're still asking the same questions on call 1 that you are now asking on call 10. That's a fast way to know that you're not going to be moving fast because it means you're not learning. You're not educating because after you've talked to 5, 10, 15 plus people, you should have at least a baseline of how the division works or how the companies work or what their day-to-days are, no matter where they're at. And then from there, you should be able to do a little bit of research, or you've already got on calls with people from those divisions and be able to have educational conversations, right? Or you've learned something and then you can ask an educated question about, let's say, a device that rep sells. That shows that you've done a little bit more research than just say, hey, can I just get your advice, right? Because again, I'm just telling you, the biggest thing that we see, the biggest gap is if you want to come in well over 6 figures, how driven are you? How motivated are you? How hungry are you? And then that's just the bare minimum that you need. And then on top of it, you need to layer in how educated are you, and not educated on, hey, you have a master's. Who cares about your master's? It's how educated are you on the division, on the company? What have you done for research? How many reps have you talked to? How many managers have you talked to? Do they like you? Because again, it goes back to my conversation. Hey, Jacob, I've been on calls and I've been on calls with people from LinkedIn. Hey, I've been on 30 calls. And I'm like, great. How many interviews do you have? And they're like, 0. And I'm like, okay, that is a clear indicator that they're having horrible conversations. You think it's going great. The people on the other end are not thinking it's going great. And I know that because you've had 30 phone calls and nobody's like texting back or nobody's been like, here, let me help you. It's, hey, you're just coming in. You're probably not asking questions and showing that you're a high-end candidate. And so again, what I'll just sit here to kind of end it and then we'll go into questions. So again, just I see some in the chat, but just make sure you guys go put in the chat what questions you would like me to answer is for you all. If you want to break into medical device sales, these companies have to feel like you're an absolute stud. The reps, the managers that they're talking to have to feel like you're an absolute stud, that they feel like, oh my gosh, no matter what this person, like if we brought this in, we know that they're going to come in and absolutely crush it. And again, that doesn't have to be as a full line rep. That can be as an associate, because most associates, they want to have somebody that they can teach and coach and do all of the good stuff with. But many people are lazy or they're not that motivated. Biggest thing for other people is you have to be told the same thing 6 times. And at some point, like I know one of the top med device companies, they'll fire people within 3 months on average if they're not performing, because they're like, not showing enough drive. We're not seeing what we need to. Let's just cut it short, right? And the fastest, hire faster, right? So they can fire faster, hire faster to get the right fit into it. So that's what I would just tell you is how to stand out. So that is what I've seen. We're going to have some resources for you all when you're like, hey, what companies do I go look at? What are the divisions? All the stuff. Like at the end of this, I have some helpful resources, so we can send those to you guys. But let's go into actually like asking questions. And I'm going to answer your guys' questions as well as if there's questions and common questions that I get asked all the time that I want to put as educational for you. So that's the biggest thing that I always want to put on there. So let's go here. So Nick, looking to get into an entry level role, do you think it makes sense to go use an outside recruiter? So Nick, great question. The honest advice is why we're normally not pushing a lot of recruiters is literally just actually had this happen. One of our guys going through the process, reps love him. The reps actually want him to be a part of their team. And then like that rep actually sent a screenshot from a recruiter who said, well, we already have some other people. And so they already stopped it. We actually had somebody in our program. They ended up getting hired with another large company, but they were going through one of the top robotics company. They made a great impression with the regional manager. The regional manager, because of how the system works, says, hey, let's go put you with the recruiter. They went with the recruiter. And then the recruiter said, nope, you're not a good fit. So they were like the gatekeeper. We had that person, because I've lived this life, had them reach back out to the manager. Guess who got a second interview? That person, because the manager was like, no, I know this person. This is who I want. So to give you an idea, why I share that, an outside recruiter, if you already have some sales experience, maybe it's an opportunity, but what you just have to understand from personal experience and previous experience, like I went through exactly what you guys have gone to. I even had med device sales experience and went and met with the recruiters. A lot of times they're putting the same, like a lot of people up for a position because they get paid on the back end, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, hey, if I put Nick or Jacob or whoever it is, and we put 10 people against each other, at the end of the day, we really don't care because I'm getting paid anyway, right? Number two, many times is it, again, it's very competitive. So if you don't have the perfect background, the advice you're going to get is, hey, go get more sales experience, right? So that's just from what I've seen personally. So again, I'm not going to say no, don't do it. But me personally, we're all about here again, do the job to get the job. Many people want to be busy, and we're talking about productivity. There's a very big difference of, hey, what'd you do with your 6 hours, or did you work a 14-hour day? Many people love to talk about a 14-hour day, but they probably could have got it done in 6 hours, right? So the reason I share that, Nick, is it's just reward. Like if you go talk to 10 recruiters, are they all going to tell you to go get more experience or whatever it is? And then are they going to actually help you through the process? Or could you spend that same time going to other people, having conversations that could help you? So that's my advice there is if you would like to do that, go for it. Just personally, I would probably advise against that because we do advise against that because, again, many times we have recruiters saying, hey, you can't do that. So, or again, I did this life. I was a personal trainer and they would tell me, go get sales experience and go work at like Cintas Enterprise, all the stuff. And there are a couple of things I just have to put out there. Again, we still get those people from Cintas, ADP, Enterprise, which everyone gets told to go to. Let me just sit here and tell you, Enterprise, they were already going to buy the car. So you're not a great salesperson to be at Enterprise. ADP, like you're selling payroll, right? There's all that. Cintas, I've talked to people, they're selling toilet paper, right? And it's like, they're just doing like upsells. It's not even like a lot of times hard selling. So again, I'm not saying it doesn't do that. You can 100% go through that. But the reason I'm saying that is this lie of, hey, just go work at ADP, Enterprise, Cintas, you'll be guaranteed a job in med device sales. It's not true. And here's 2 reasons why. Number one, we still get them. We've had them on the podcast, so we can share that. Number 2, if that was true, every person from ADP, Cintas, or Enterprise would be in medical device sales because they just went and got the experience, they put in their resume, and now they have a job, right? So just why we usually maybe push against that a little bit, Nick. So hopefully that's helpful. If not, you can ask more questions. So Kayla, so what's your thoughts on the medical sales college route and getting in the field? Is your opinion worth it? Just transparently, every company runs their company how they want it. I'll just be transparent, Kayla. Like we still get their people. We have a program that already have hundreds of testimonials. So if that's something you're considering, happy to have a conversation. Again, there's a fit for everybody. I'll just sit here and tell you, we only work with people who want to make 6 figures and who want to go have a successful career because it's myself and our coaches who have been top performers and continue to do that. And we work with the top companies. Just understand that aspect of it. So it's kind of just where you want to go and what your route is. But again, if you're considering that, I would say, hey, look at our website, look at some of our stuff. Hopefully it can be helpful. Rachel, glad it's helpful. So doing that. Now here is somebody I just want to put out there, Mr. Tyler, my man. I am well and hope you're well. Just so you guys know, Tyler, it's a very special moment to get a message like this, as Tyler's somebody who came to the program. He changed his whole life for himself, but he is an absolute stud, an amazing husband, amazing father, an amazing person, and just an amazing person. And he came from nursing, and now he's in the good old medical device sales. So Tyler, just want to say congratulations, buddy. Hope you're doing great. Miss you. I love you. And keep crushing it, because I know you absolutely are, because that's all you do. All right, let's go into, I'm in the final stages of the interview process. How can I impress hiring managers with limited cardiac cath experience? The product is used in the cath lab. Rachel, great question. So a couple things I would tell you is, if you're in the final stages, it kind of goes back to how many conversations have you had? Are people like your champion? Do you have people that are like going through your process, that are like willing to be like, hey, Rachel's amazing, and even though she doesn't have ABC, we believe that she'll be able to learn it, right? So that's what I would tell you through that process. And you just, again, you want to get people that are champions, right? You want to get people that are literally going to change your life, and they're going to be like, hey, I believe Rachel's it, because again, you just saying all of that won't get you very far. But if you have other people on the back end saying, Rachel, she has it, and here's what she's done throughout the process, it goes. And the last thing I'll just say, Rachel, is we get a lot of people who call us that are in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, and they get into the finals. I'll just be transparent. There's a lot of the stuff that the whole process is an interview. So if you haven't done stuff the whole process, the final is not like, it matters, but it doesn't matter, because they're going to be taking points for that whole time, right? But that's what I would sit here and tell you. And then again, with the most love, most of the people you're going to talk with at one point didn't have cardiac cath experience as well. Guess who can learn it? And you can show that because of, you have example A, B, and C from your past experience, and show that you'll be able to hustle, learn it. Because I'll just sit here and tell you, everyone talks about, hey, I lost out to someone more experience. Why that's actually not real is because every single position I ever got was beating out people with more experience. Every single day we help people beat out people with more experience, right? It's, again, showing what you're doing and what you've done throughout the process, and not what you did in your past experience, right? Again, you can have examples from your past experience, Rachel, but again, just don't only focus on that. So that's what I would just tell you about that aspect of it. So, Sarah, how does your program compare to something like Device Academy? Okay, so transparent, I don't know who that is, but I will just sit here and tell you, if you guys just go to our website, we've put podcast out for 5 years. I've documented us being top performers. We're also teaching you how to do the job to get the job. We have hundreds of testimonials. I'm actually going to show you guys, as you can just see on this. Tyler, 2 years ago, got him in. He's crushed it. And then he posts something like this. Couldn't have done it. So there's just real life testimonial. So appreciate you, Tyler. But going back to Sarah, I'm not sure what they do, but I'll just be transparent. Like, all we do is show you the proof. And then what we're focused on is teaching you guys how to do the job to get the job, because we want you to go into the industry and actually perform, because hopefully this makes the most sense. We have good relationships with the companies. Okay, we have a company, and it does me no good to get Sarah or somebody else or Tyler hired and he gets fired or quits within a week, or let's say 6 months, right? And I'll just sit here and say, he's with 2 years at the same company. Absolutely amazing. So that's what I would just tell you, again, but we just want to continue to help you guys go throughout that process. Again, at the end, we can talk about it. I can show you guys some resources that you guys can look at, but my whole focus for you all is to break into medical device sales. And even just answer questions on here about your journey, instead of like comparing to programs. Because I'll just sit here and tell you, I didn't create medical device sales. I did not create medical device sales, or I didn't create medical device sales. I didn't create programs. I did create medical device sales programs. We were the first. That's why we have thousands of people. Like, we have experience. We've got YouTube. We put all the free resources out there. So again, when it talks about like, how do we compare? We really don't compare ourselves to anybody else, because we just put the proof out there. So, and again, transparently, I've been all in your same shoes. I've invested in programs, and the biggest things you're all worried about is, I don't want to pay money and not get my results. That's why we have people literally that are just coming on, and you'll see that have gotten success. And then if you come at the beginning, you'll see Mr. Cade, who's also here, and he's in the industry, and he was part of our program, and he came in as a full line rep. So that's why I would just share about that, but I don't really want to get into the differences between programs, because there's that piece. And then I'll just put Tyler, Nicholas, he's absolutely crushing, just came in, going into it. So look at that. Love that. Tyler, your podcast is the reason Nick's here. So love to see that. That's also great. Nick, He's at MSC. So again, hope he's having an amazing experience with that as well. So that's great. And can you give an example of what doing the job to get the job is? Yeah, great question. So when we talk about doing the job to get the job, right? Most people don't even understand the sales process. For example, do you know how to do a cold call, right? Do you know how to like get a prospect list? So get a prospect list. Can you cold call? And when you do a cold call, can you set a meeting, right? Then after you set a meeting, can you set up like a trial, right? For example, if you're in the industry, right? So if I'm at, let me just give you a real life example. When I was in the GYN world, I would go do a surgery with a doctor. I would then be like, hey, doc, you just had a great surgery. Do you know of any other doctors that could benefit from this? They would give me a name. I'd say, great. I would go to the place. I would do a warm call, not a cold call, because I had somebody that I could reference. And then from there, I could say, hey, Dr. A asked me to come here. Then from there, I would be like, and they wanted me to share ABC. Is there an opportunity to set up a meeting with Dr. B? We would set up the meeting with Dr. B. I'd have the meeting with Dr. B. But then from the meeting, now I have to schedule, hey, would you like to trial? Right. And we were already in the hospitals where they're at. So we wanted to do a trial. So then I'm like, hey, let's go do a trial. Then I would get them to go do a trial. Then from the trial, we would do multiple cases. And then from there, we would have them convert, AKA become a customer. And then from there, our revenue came up and so forth. Now, bringing it back to, hey, you want to break into medical device sales. Okay, so you have to go to LinkedIn. Okay, so let's prospect. Who are you going to reach out to? Then you find people like Tyler, who's already in the industry, or Cade, who's already in the industry. Now you need a cold call, AKA send them a message. Now you're going to try to get on a call with them, a meeting. Now, are you going to have that meeting? Can you convert that into a trial? Or are they going to reference you to other people, A, B, C, D? And then that's the process, right? And so what we do inside of our program is while people are going through the process, we're also saying, hey, if this is what you're doing here, this is why we're doing it, get the understanding, because this, once you're in the industry, this is what you're actually going to be doing. And so that's why we're able to have people come in and be successful, because it's not just like, hey, say these 3 things in an interview, you got a job and good luck. Because again, it goes back to, we work with people, have them in our program for a year, like work with them all the way, because again, it doesn't do any good to get you guys hired and then you guys quit. But again, just transparently from a business standpoint, when we only have people who've been in, like Tyler, for 2 years, they've done really great. They have proof of being successful in the industry and in the division and in their company. It makes our job easy at New Medical Device Sales to come in and say, hey, here's somebody you have from us. They performed very well. Would you like more people, right? So there's just, again, conversations like that. So hopefully whoever that is, that can be helpful. All right. Keep the questions coming because I absolutely love them. All right. How would you recommend approaching a territory manager for an associate role I've recently applied for? So, Kayla, great question. Again, going in the future, probably don't just apply out because, again, it can put you in the system and then you have to go through the systems thing. But I would just reach out to that manager. And then for us, I would just tell you, hey, would love to learn more what you look for in your associate sales reps, right? And again, instead of saying, hey, I see you have a job, I'd like to discuss it. Just again, that's what every other human being's probably doing to that manager or that TM right now. And so it's more of like, hey, if you can say, hey, I would love to learn what you look for in your associate sales reps and you're there to learn. If you schedule the call, then you're going to get on that call and they'll be like, hey, great. And then they'll be asking you, hey, did you know we had an opening, right? Since you've already applied, you can say, hey, yes, I have this. I already applied because of ABC. But in the future, you can know about the position. Now you're, again, doing sales like you already know, but you're going to position yourself and you'll be like, oh, I had no idea. And then they educate and they're like, oh, you should definitely apply for it here. Use my link. And then you can go that route. So I would just reach out, Kayla, and just look to learn and see where that goes. All right. Sarah, so how should I position myself for an associate sales rep position against people who have more experience in sales rep? So Sarah, this is the easiest part. It's what we teach in our industry, our company. You just got to be better than them. And what I mean by that, because people will be like, well, what does that mean? It means do the job to get the job, to show that you're better than them, because what everybody with more experience does is talk about the resume. And again, it's the equivalent of Uncle Rico. Well, when I was in high school, I could throw it over the mountains. Who cares what they've done? What are they doing throughout the whole entire process? Hence, again, Cade, under the age of 25, full line rep role. He beat out with plenty of human beings who had more experience than them. But throughout the whole process, he was showing that he's doing the job to get the job. And then when they asked him questions and he had business plans already prepared, or he already talked to the people that they wanted him to chat with, like he's already shown throughout the process. Because the number one thing I can tell you, every single person that's listening, everybody in medical device sales will just tell you they're going to be successful. Like when I got the regional sales manager at 27 years old and I beat out people that had 10 plus years at Stryker, my ending line was, hey, I can come in here and every salesperson is going to tell you they're going to come in, hit quota, make you millions, and do all the aspects. Hopefully, I've shown you throughout this whole process that I'm the right person for you and that you can believe what I say I'll do. Because again, talk is cheap. It's what we share. And again, everyone just says all this, and then you guys all think it's answer 4 questions correctly, and the 4 questions actually have nothing to do with it, right? Because and the last thing I'll just do it, I always bring it back to dating. What happens if you go out on a date with somebody and it's your second or third date and they're like, I'll be there 10 minutes earlier. I can't wait to be there. I promise you. And they show up 20 minutes late. Okay. Well, if that happened once or twice or third time, you're probably not believing what they say, even though that's what they're saying they're going to do. And so that's literally interviews. Everyone says, I'm going to come in, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to be able to do this. I have these relationships. I've talked to so many reps who say, I have these relationships. And then you find out after they get hired, it's like, oh yeah, they were my doctor once 5 years ago. Like I actually didn't even call on them. So again, what are you doing? Not what did you do, right? Like you have to show the process. And so again, that's what I would just tell you as you're doing it. It's the networking, it's the conversations, it's the coming prepared, it's showing that you're a professional, it's all the above. And that's when they're like, wow, this Sarah person, like we know that she doesn't have A, B, and C, but she does do A, B, C. So hopefully that can be helpful. Again, if you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. But the one thing that I just want to put in here is here's a couple common questions that I do get asked is number one, how much travel is involved in medical device sales? Just understand it's going to depend on the company, depend on the division, and depend on the territory, right? I've had territories like I know people that are in Phoenix who never leave Phoenix. But I also have had people like myself, like I covered 2 states when I was at Medtronic, Arizona and New Mexico, right? So I would travel between there. And like, I wasn't moving all the time. I would maybe go to New Mexico, depending on my schedule and the need of it, maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks. If I had to go more, I would go, but you're able to kind of see what's the need there. And then there was times when I was running the Western United States, like I was traveling a lot. So it just matters where you want to go from that aspect. And then one other things that I would just tell you all is as you go through this process is like, everyone wants to talk about like, do you need a medical science or what background do you need to get into medical device sales? And the reality of it is most of the time you just need a 4-year degree. We've helped people without a 4-year degree get into the industry. Just transparently, it is always harder. But the one thing I will say that is very great to see is there are more and more companies that are getting away from that because, and getting away from the 4-year degree, because there are a lot of great salespeople. For example, people who do like, let's just say door to door. Maybe they don't have a 4-year degree, but they've done 3 years of door to door. That person has great sales experience, right? So it's just being able to position it. But I can just sit here and tell you, most of the time we see, like I had a kinesiology background, exercise science, right? Like a science background. We might see a business background or like a marketing background. But at the end of the day, as long as you have a 4-year degree, that's truly what's just going to matter, right? So that's what I would just tell you. And then I just want you guys to know, we just want to provide value to you all always. So the biggest thing for you is I'm going to drop in the chat for you all is most people ask me, where do we even begin? What do I go and get? Who do I talk to? What medical device companies out there? So we already put a PDF out there that you guys can go and you can fill out. That you're able to go and put in your information and it will send you a PDF that we will be able to send you. And if you do fill that out, just put like a thumbs up or say that you did. So just in case if it didn't get sent to you, we can send it back to you later. But it's going to send you medical device companies. It goes into the different divisions. It can go into like, hey, what's the top earning divisions? Where do you want to go to? So we just do that nice little resource for you all because some people don't know how to get there and where to go. So that's what I would just sit here and tell you as we go through that process. If you guys are on LinkedIn, you guys can just message me as well for that. Just so you know, we have this live and it's going to people on all different channels. But if you would like that, you guys can send me a message. We can make sure to send you that link as well, because the biggest process for you guys is I want to get you there. And then the one thing I'll just sit here and tell you is if you guys have questions about like our program, but let's take that out, is like more of like we have a team that gets on and we want to be able to help you guys in all aspects. And it's more of a lot of times like, how do I break into medical device sales, right? How do I do all this? You can schedule a call with our team where, again, they can just learn more about your background, how we can help. And then from there, so I'll drop the link here as well that you guys can just go apply to that aspect. Again, if you guys are on LinkedIn and you want to message me, you guys can also send me a message and we're happy to schedule a call. Just know our team is just here to help you guys because we get on calls literally every single day where you all want to break into medical device sales, but many of you don't know where to start. And just understand, just like today, we're just here to help. And if we have a solution that we can help you with, great. And if not, worst case scenario, you get on a call with our team learns more about you and then gives you more free resources to continue to help you all through the process. So just want you guys to know that is my whole goal. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer some, but like, just understand the whole goal is to continue to help you all break into medical device sales and know that it's possible. And the last thing I'll just always tell you is, with what we do, is it common to break into medical device sales? Absolutely not. Is it common to break into medical device sales at Wells over six figures? Absolutely not. But the one thing that we continue to teach our program, because again, I'm someone who lived it. I broke in with no experience, came in as a full line rep at Medtronic. I skipped the associate, went right to full line rep at 25. And then I was top 10 performer my first year. Like, it's not normal, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. And so my whole goal to every human being we talk to and have conversations with you all is it's possible. You just have to get around people who know how to do it and then how we can help. And so that's what I would just continue to help you. And again, if you guys are in other programs doing all stuff, great. I hope it works out. Like that's the best. But again, just understand all we do is I've been in your exact same shoes. I know exactly what you guys are going through and we help people like you every single day. And the only difference is we literally have hundreds of testimonials and hundreds of podcasts. And then we interview some of the top professionals in the space, former vice presidents of Medtronic, et cetera. Like you can go put it out there and we just put all this information out there for free because the whole goal is to help you. And the last thing I'll just tell you is why we do our program and want to continue to help you guys is most of you guys think it's just like we tell you to do A, B, C, D, but like it's not true. And let me just give you a real quick thing. Former personal trainer. I told plenty of people how to squat, chest up, hips back, weight on our heels. I actually would demonstrate it, show it, and then they would go and they would not do it correctly. And even though in their head, they thought they were doing it correctly, even though I showed them how to do it, I gave them a video on how to do it. And then I had themselves looking at themselves in a mirror. They're still doing it wrong. And then what happens is their knees hurt. And they're like, ow, my knees hurt, even though they're doing the work. And they thought they were helping themselves and they're actually doing a lot of work and hurting their body. And so why I'm saying that is just because you're doing a lot of work doesn't mean you're doing it beneficially. And so even that's why we don't just like have a cookie cutter where we're like, here, just hope it works out. It's why we're very selective. We only work with a select few people and we work with you all and make sure it's a good fit. And we're not a fit for everybody. And we're totally okay with that is because again, we want to have the top tier talent who we can come in, train, so we can go give to top tier companies that then continue us to do the cycle and just understand the whole goal is to continue to help you have success. And it's why we do all this stuff for free. And it's why we put out this stuff and we give webinars because we just want to watch you succeed. So if we can ever answer any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Again, you can also set up, like we talked about, you can go click those links. If you guys didn't see the links, you guys can message us on LinkedIn or any of the other platforms, and we can get you guys all set up there. But just know the whole goal for us is to continue to help you throughout this process. So really appreciate it. If you guys got a question, you can check out newtomedicaldevicesales.com. We go into a lot more information about our program and what we do there, or you guys can reach out to us on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to schedule calls with you all. So just want to help you. Hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.